Welcome back to the Pick Up and Play podcast, folks. My name is DJ Switch. Did you miss me? I took a couple of months break to retool the podcast a little bit, rework some things. And the original plan was to relaunch the show in January of 2025. But here's the thing. I made some new friends. And some of my old friends also made some of the same new friends. So I have a couple of announcements to make before we jump into the interview today. First and foremost, I have signed on with Malice Media as a talent agent who will be helping me to sort of expand and grow myself as a personality, as a podcast. We've got a lot of fun plans in the works, and I'm so excited for 2025 and beyond to see how this relationship will continue to build into something really special. I'm so excited to have an agent, y'all. I'm 26 years into my career as a DJ, and I just signed an agent for the very first time, and it's someone who I was able to build a relationship with first. And so when it came time to sit down and look at a contract and turn things to in more of a professional direction, it honestly could not have been an easier decision. I'm so excited, y'all. I'm so excited to have an agent. He goes by General Malice from Malice Media, and Malice Media has been working on helping to launch a brand new video game called Legends of Boom, which is part of the reason why I decided to bring the show back a little early, because Legends of Boom is going to be coming out on November 12th. That's right, just a couple of weeks from now. Not even a couple of weeks from now. It's going to be coming out November 12th, and when it launches officially, there's going to be a pretty interesting roadmap for how they plan on growing this particular game. See, one of the things that they're doing is they're going to be getting several folks in the internet talent space to lend their voices, contribute their talents to this game. The studio's First Moon Games is comprised of some folks that have a long history in the video gaming space, and they're tapping in with their friends. Hey, yo, friends, come help. Let's make this thing really special. And I am super privileged that I get to be just a small part of that process. So with that in mind, my very first interview today is actually the first interview I ever had on this show. He's an old friend of mine, someone who I go way back with, and someone who I've raised so many charity dollars with, someone who I've worked with for many, many years, and who I'm very privileged to call a friend. He's one of the most prolific video game collectors in the world. And now he's going to be a personality on Legends of Boom in the form of a puppet, of all things. So I'm very excited to introduce to you one of the newest talents to lend their abilities to the Legends of Boom game coming out November 12th. Please welcome Mr. John Hancock. Hey, John, thanks for coming back on the show, man. It's been a minute since you and I have had a chance to catch up.
I am super excited to be back. Our paths keep on crossing, friend. It's awesome.
Dude, I always love a chance to like sit down and hang out with you. And it looks like you and I might actually finally be seeing each other more than twice a year.
Yes.
Because I sort of gently alluded to it on my TikTok, but I'm happy I can finally announce I have signed with Malice Media, and you and I have the same agent.
Awesome. A lot of people may not know, I haven't done a video myself, I have teamed up with Malice Media. I go back with that agent for a long time, and I've seen him at shows, several previous Midwest Gaming Classics, and really love the character and the vibe and just what they bring, him and his wife. And General Malice is just fantastic, and I decided to team up with him because I know he's going to take care of me. B, he can handle any new events. So he says, hey, you can handle any current events, but if you want new events, I'm your person. And not only that,
Yeah.
I think offer some new opportunities, and that's why I'm here talking to you today about one of those new
Well,
opportunities.
listen, man, you never need an excuse to come on my show, and you know that. But honestly, like, that's one of the biggest reasons why I agreed to sign the contract, because I sat down and literally read word for word the contract to my wife so that we could discuss it together as a team. And the thing is, like, I know Derek now, and I've worked with him over the last year or so, and you know, really gotten to know him and his wife. They took me to dinner last month, which was incredibly cool while they were in town for the Portland show. And you know, really getting to know them and what they're about. The thing that I really hate about signing on with Malice Media is that I know that he's going to take over the world. His client list is going to get even crazier and crazier over time. And eventually, you know, he's going to be having to hire on more help to handle stuff like this DJ out of Portland that wants to play more shows, you know. But that's one of those really great problems to have. And I see that happening. Just for the simple fact that, like, no joke, Derek came to town, and after he left Portland, about a third of the guests that I had on my podcast that weren't already signed with him were now making announcements on their Facebook pages and talking about Malice Media in their socials. And it's like, what? That's not a coincidence.
Yeah, I'm excited. Derek's a great guy. I've known him a long time, and really saw his energy when he was with Whatnot,
Yeah.
and ran into him in one of my first Midwest Gaming Classic, which was years ago, like 3 or 4 years ago. And I don't know, to me, I'm not signing up to a media company. I'm teaming up with a good friend and someone that's going to give me a solid, and I know him, and I think he's very business savvy. And to me, it was the first time I felt like this is not like a company or a corporation. This is a person that knows me well and knows
Yeah.
my story, and I feel like I can trust him, and I'm really excited about working with him.
I mean, from my perspective, you know, as an entertainer, as a professional entertainer, a DJ who books his own shows, booked his own events for a couple decades at this point,
Yeah.
like, it's one of those things where, like, I don't necessarily need Derek's help, but just like thinking about the things that I could accomplish with Derek's help.
Yep.
That was the sort of exciting part to me.
Yep.
And so, you know, signing that contract and coming on board with Malice, like, I'm really excited about 2025. I've got a couple other things cooking for 2025 that, like, in addition to this. And so, like, I'm really, really excited for next year. And the thing is, like, going into next year, one of the things I'm really excited about is this new game from our friends at First Moon Games.
Yep.
Many people may recognize the name Tim Kitzrow. When I started this show back at the beginning of the year, he was absolutely one of the very first people I reached out to. And he goes, "Hey man, I'd love to do the show." Like, I reached out via email, and he's like, "Hey man, I'd love to do the show, but I'm really tied up this summer. Get back to me at the end of the summer." And I was like, "Okay." And he didn't really elaborate, and I didn't want to push, right? Because Tim Kitzrow, like, he's the NBA Jam guy. Like, he's
Boom,
video game
shakalaka.
royalty. Yeah, dude. Like, and not only that, but also he's always been incredibly cool to me. He recorded some stuff in my DJ booth at the Expo in 2019. So, like, he's literally the first voice you hear on my mixtape, you know, like, shouting me out and stuff. Like, Tim's the best. And
Yes.
so when I found out that the reason why he was busy this summer is because he started a game studio and with a couple of other folks, and that they are releasing their very first game called Legends of Boom. Like, I'm incredibly proud of what they're doing, especially as a brand new indie studio releasing their very first game on Steam. And it's an incredible concept. So can you tell me a little bit about Legends of Boom? I know that you're kind of involved with it, but before we get into your involvement, I just want to know a little bit about what the game is. What kind of game is it? What's it about?
So my pretty much introduction to it was because I signed up with Malice Media
Sure.
And Derek had a vision for me to possibly be a counter to Tim Kitzrow. Now he plays a character on this. He's an announcer in like a puppet format.
Yeah.
And so Flip Nimrod, or I think I'm saying that right.
Flip Rimrod. Yeah.
Yeah. Flip Rimrod. My apologies. And he plays kind of like an announcer that's been doing it for a long time, and he says some really funny things. And so,
Some really foul things.
yeah, those are behind a paywall, but yes, yeah. So Derek was thinking, I need a counter to Flip, and so
Yeah.
they proposed, hey, we're going to bring you on the launch of the game, and middle November. I don't know exactly what day it's going to be launched, but essentially, it gives me time to do some voice work and to play a puppet character, and
Yeah.
that looks in my likeness. I'm thinking, and I'm still developing the character, so this is just me talking out loud. Maybe part Ned Flanders, maybe part the Fix It Felix, not Fix It Felix, yeah. So I'm gonna be like part Ned Flanders, part Fix It Felix, possibly, of like this kind of nicey guy that like kind of is a counter to Flip. And so back to your question about the game, looking at the Steam page, Legends of Boom, and I've played the demo. I really enjoy it. And so that actually playing the demo got me excited about being part of this game. And so I'm a big card guy. I played Magic growing up, post high school and college. I was, Hearthstone, Blizzard's online card game. I like.
So it's a TCG battle game,
It's
right?
an RTS. It's an RTS light battle card game.
Okay, so you have like a deck of cards that have different attacks and stuff, and then okay.
So it's designed for players who crave quick, intense matches where you strategically place bases, weapons, defenses, and events on 24 different battle maps. I think they talked about possibly even having way more than that. So you dive into a single player path of boon to earn experience, upgrade your cards. So you can upgrade your cards in the game. That's kind of cool. And unlock powerful strategies. Or you take your finely tuned deck building skills online to face off different people. Okay. While the puppet sportscaster Flip Rimrod, voiced by Tim, delivers play-by-play of every match. So there's going to be different people brought in over time, and so I'm going to be essentially one of the temporary. It could be permanent, depending on how well it does. Characters that's going to be. I'm going to do some recordings, and then those will play in the first, I do believe, 2 weeks to a month of the launch of the game in November.
Okay.
So that's kind of what we're looking at and what I've been told. And so I'm still developing my character. I haven't recorded the lines yet, but that's possibly starting as early as this weekend as well as next week. And so I'm really excited. This is my first voice work. So
you've never done any voice work before at all?
Nothing like this. This like I've done like recordings of, I'm an independent game publisher. So for my own individual games, I've recorded my voice.
Yeah,
but not working with Tim Kitzrow or like, anything on that level. Like, it's like, it's so mind blowing. Like I woke up today and like, I'm going to be in an actual real video game doing real dialogue, and nervous. Yes. Excited. Yes. But like to ask myself, having this conversation like 10 years ago, I would have been said, no way, like no way. And so just super excited.
So we know you've been swimming for 6 months. We'd like you to try out for the Olympic trials in Paris. Let's start you there, right?
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy how like many doors have opened. Like where I got involved with YouTube, and then I went my first out of country trip this last summer to Brazil.
Right.
And just flown around the United States, and then just this door open is just nuts. And that's all Malice Media. I mean, that's all that would have not happened had I not kind of just already had a relationship with him. I think it was a good fit, and it just happened, which is just nuts. It's kind of nuts.
Yeah, no, I see the connection there. Obviously, Tim's also represented by Malice Media, and you know, First Moon Games, being that this is their first attempt at publishing something. I do know that I think it's the developer has a background in creating other similar games.
Cool.
And I can't remember who he worked for before jumping over and helping Tim found First Moon. But there's some talent on this team.
Yeah.
And so like, yes, it's a very small studio and it's a very small, very early first independent release. But this is going to be a team to watch, I think, because of the sheer talent and pedigree that is behind this thing. You know, and they're going to grow as quickly as they can, but I think they're smart enough that we're not going to see them burn out. I think this is going to be a good long-term thing for them. And what's crazy to me, above everything else, you know, being friends with anybody involved with the game and being attached to anything else with the game, like the biggest and sort of craziest thing to me is that my buddy John, a teacher that lives about a half an hour north of me, is gonna be voice acting a puppet character of his own likeness next to Mr. Boom Shakalaka.
I know,
And that's
right?
gonna be your first like real voice acting
Yep.
gig.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's just weird because like I've had couple other connections, probably due to you know, Derek and stuff. You know, I interviewed totally forgot his name. Oh my gosh, Master Doom, John Romero. So that was
Okay.
my biggest interview, and I want to say he might have had a hand in that. We'll see, but like essentially, doing that was like, oh my gosh, like crazy. But and that
Yeah,
was
John Romero is a very well known name in the video game world
yeah,
too.
yeah. It
Like
was the biggest interview I ever did, and I
that's
didn't,
not a small get, dude.
and I didn't do it through my channel. I did it for Whatnot for premiering his book, which he just
Oh
released
wow.
this last summer. Super nervous. Oh my goodness, I was so nervous, but I had a great time. But I think one thing I like about Derek is he believes in people and he gets you to believe in yourself and to hit your potential, and he sees the bigger picture. And I'm really excited about, you know, so before I agreed to be part of this game, I played a couple days. There's a demo. You can check out the demo now. It's on Steam. And
Okay.
it's gonna launch mid-November, but like, so you can get a kind of a taste of what they're trying to do with this card game. And again, going back, I really enjoy card games and video game card games. Slay the Spire comes to mind. That's a popular Steam game. You can also get on Switch and some other platforms. But I like card battle games, and there's some other ones too that I have enjoyed in the past. But I played it. I like it. I want to be part of it, and we'll see where this goes. And so hopefully, I'll make a funny character and do some funny teasing back and forth. I already have some ideas of some things to do, and I'm going to bounce some ideas off of Derek this weekend, and excited about it. And even whatever happens to it, like it's a super awesome learning experience. And going back to what you said, I mean, my first voice work is with Tim Kitzrow. Like that's like freaking amazing, and it's like. And then I got to meet him, you know, in person. And when he signed some merchandise for my daughter, and she still has it in her room signed, and it meant a lot to her because
That's
she's
so
a
cool.
huge basketball fan, and so she has it signed in her room right now, and she just loves it. She's never met him, but then when I showed her the video, she lit up because she absolutely loves basketball. So yeah,
Especially if you love basketball, like, and if you were around at all in the 90s, like, you know the word Boom Shakalaka.
yes,
Like you know who Tim is, even if you maybe don't know him by name. But you know, he's always been incredibly giving with his time.
absolutely.
I remember in 2019 was the first year I met him, and he was at the expo, and I was DJing in the booth, and you know, my nephew was there on the last day, and he went to go see Tim, and he says, "Hey, my uncle's the DJ, and he wants to say hi, but he can't get away from the turntables." And so Tim closed up his booth and like was on his way out with his like suitcase towed behind him. Like he's just dragging his suitcase with him behind him, got his coat over his arm. He's on his way out, but he made it a point to come by the booth and say hi. And he says, "Hey, can I have your mic?" And when Tim Kitzrow asks for your microphone, of course the answer is yes, right?
Love it.
And then proceeds to say goodbye, everybody, to over the loudspeaker, throws and thank God I had the presence of mind after 3 straight days of DJing to reach over and hit the record button on my laptop so that I could catch everything that he was saying through my mixer.
Yeah.
Because I got perfect, clean recording of all of it and took it home and cleaned it up and bumped the volume a little and but it ended up coming out just beautifully. And so I have this recording of Tim saying goodbye to everybody in 2019 and then shouting me out and calling out things like, DJ short for dunk jockey, boom shakalaka, like stuff like that just absolutely made my whole life. Like as a long time fan, like having him be so incredibly nice and incredibly giving. I didn't ask him to do any of that stuff. He just wanted to. That's because that's the dude he is. Like he's just a really giving dude, and I so appreciate that about Tim. Hey everyone, I wanted to just jump in here real quick and tell you a little bit about Legends of Boom coming to Steam November 12th from First Moon Games. Legends of Boom is a fast-paced RTS-lite battle game. Collect and upgrade cards and challenge both human and AI opponents online, all while experiencing over 4 hours of commentary by a vice-laden puppet sportscaster, Flip Rimrod. Who is Flip Rimrod, you ask? Well, he's voiced by none other than the absolute legend that is Tim Kitzrow, the announcer from NFL Blitz and NBA Jam. I got the chance to play with the demo a little bit, and I really like how the deck draw and board layouts are randomized, so you have to strategize on the fly. It keeps the game interesting, and when matches are only designed to last about 90 seconds, it keeps things fresh after the 5th, 12th, or even 43rd match in a row. In fact, here's a little gameplay from the demo that I recorded just to give you all a taste.
Steam Shield takes on Ghost Harpoon. Well, the pirate on my shoulder just said Polly wants a cannon. And you know what that means? It's time to bust out the old peg leg and eye patch because you're starring in a pirate drag show today at the Pirates Cove. And by drag show, I mean, well, they're going to be dragging pirates' corpses off the beach all day, and one of them could be yours. Pirates Cove, come for the treasure. Stay for the fact that, well, you got your head blown off. Pirates Cove starts now. What the... All right, nice win. Like the guy in that NBA Jam game said, the nail in the coffin. Hey, whatever happened to that guy, Arnie? Is he dead?
The team at First Moon Games is hard at work getting ready for the November 12th launch on Steam. So make sure you check the link in the description to add Legends of Boom to your wish list and check out the demo before its release. And make sure you're following me at DJ Switch PDX on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook for more information and interviews around Legends of Boom in the coming weeks. Now, back to the show. This game, you said is going to be coming out mid-November. I'm going to make sure to get the actual release date. We're going to have that on the show before this goes out. Yeah. But do you know what? Actually, let me change the conversation just a little bit. I want to go back to the voice acting thing. And I got to ask you a question that I really hope that Tim and Derek and everybody at First Moon doesn't hate me for this.
Yeah.
But I want to put this idea in your head because I think it'll be helpful for you.
Okay.
Have you ever seen the show Holy Moly?
It sounds familiar. Okay.
So that's a no. Because if you had seen it, like you wouldn't have hesitated. This show is wild. Do you remember the show Wipeout? Yeah. Like where people get knocked over by the giant pylons and stuff?
Yeah, I've seen that. Then my daughter loves that.
Imagine if Wipeout was a mini golf show hosted by a straight classic sports commentator and his wacky sidekick played by Rob Riggle.
Is it on YouTube? Where can I stream this?
I think it's on Hulu.
Okay.
This entire show was conceived and produced by Steph Curry from the Golden State Warriors, the basketball player.
Okay.
And so he like kind of hosts the thing too.
Okay.
And it's Holy, Holey, Moly, Moley. There's, I think, 3 or 4 seasons out there in the world.
Okay.
Please look this show up.
Yeah.
It is incredible. The last season they featured the Muppets as like recurring characters throughout the season. Yeah, no, it is crazy. And I think you're absolutely gonna love it. It is very family friendly. Like it's crazy and silly, but also family friendly because it's on ABC.
Okay.
So like you can absolutely watch it with the kids. Like I think your whole family is gonna love this show, even if they don't care at all. If they don't care at all about golf, they will love the show Holy Moly. Now, the reason I bring all that up is because what you're doing with Tim feels very similar to me, but the video game version of that. Okay. And I think it would be a good bit of homework for you before you go and like really settle into your character. Check out a little bit of Holy Moly and kind of see what they're doing, because I think that's going to play really, really well. I know Tim is crazy.
Tomorrow morning.
I know Tim's crazy, and I know with the direction you're trying to go with like a Ned Flanders, Fix It Felix type of like wholesome sort of straight man. You know, what they call in comedy as a straight man. He's the guy that doesn't really find a whole lot of stuff funny, but that's what makes it funny, right? Mm-hmm. And I can't wait. I can't wait to see what you look like in puppet form next to Tim Kitzrow. That's going to be so insane.
I sent it to you, and you can post that as you wish.
Don't worry. They've already seen the photo at this point. Like I will have already flashed that up on the screen, and I'll put it up again. But no, like once the finished product, I mean, once I see you guys and you get everything recorded and like, man, I don't know whose idea that was to put you next to Tim in the game and have you be a puppet next to him in the commentator box. But dude, that is so good. It's like you guys are going to be shoutcasting the matches, but Tim's going to be Tim, and so it's going to be hilarious.
Yeah, I've heard some of the dialogue. It's pretty funny. Like, he's like kind of at one point he's kind of making fun of himself. He's like kind of making I don't even know if he was bringing up a previous game. He's like, oh, whatever happened to that commentator? Is he dead? And it's pretty funny. Like, you know, definitely making fun of himself, but like that's what makes it kind of funny. And you know, he's so witty. He can just fire them off and the zingers, and he's just perfect for that. And what's crazy about Tim is the energy that he still brings. You know, it's like, you know, some people it's like, you know, it's genie out of the bottle, and like it's done. And then you have like people like they have the energy of like Rush, the band, which, you know, God bless Neil Peart. But you know, Tim has been doing this for a long time, and he just has the energy still, and it's fantastic to see him. And what's cool is that, you know, he was able to, you know, work with and making a independent game studio where he can then continue his legacy with a new character and direction. And I think it's perfect. And the fact they went the puppet route is absolutely brilliant, because that allows some pretty awesome creativity with making a whole bunch of guests. And so I'm just a part of a stream of potential guests to be able to come onto the show and the game and offer a flavor. And you know, if it does well, then I get to be permanent. So you know what, I'm perfectly fine with. I love. Just to let you know, I used to be a relief pitcher in baseball and a designated hitter. So the adrenaline of like, okay, you're up, it's time, the show's on. Like, I get that adrenaline when I'm teaching as a teacher. You know, like you're up, and so I get that feeling with this role and being able to like step in and be a character. You know, and I'm going to learn a lot from it, and I'm sure I'm going to do it and then learn some experience from it, and then even be better if another opportunity opens up. And so I'm really excited about it.
I was a wrestler in high school. I was terrible, but I was a wrestler in high school. And then before that, I was actually a fairly successful hockey player when I was younger.
Dude, there is no time like showtime.
Yeah.
Like when it's time to hit the ice, when that whistle blows, when it's time to hit the mat and go, and everything snaps into focus because nothing else in the world matters for the next 3 minutes. Like, dude, there's no feeling in the world like that. And it's crazy that like you and I, as a couple of video game nerds, can sit here and identify with that feeling of adrenaline that comes with real sportsmanship, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, like I absolutely know what you're talking about. The game itself has so much potential.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, the really, really interesting thing to me is that, when Fortnite came out, it wasn't anything like what it is now.
No.
It was a very different game, and Fortnite found a sort of a variation on their formula that worked really well, and they decided to run with it. And now they're, the biggest thing in the world, right?
Yeah.
And then they not only are they the biggest thing in the world, they've been the biggest thing in the world so long that they fell off and then came back and then fell off again, and now they're back again. Yeah. And so like the potential to grow a game into something that can last, something that can be around for a long time and create opportunities like this for people like you for a long time. Dude, I love that.
I'm excited.
I love it.
And I think Steam is a perfect place for this to begin. And because card games and that type of things, Steam is really making some really good strides. I can honestly say in the last couple of years, I've played more Steam stuff and really started to embrace the what they're offering. And it's perfect for this indie studio. If they're to make it, then it's going to be in Steam. And then who knows? Maybe they get a console release or a Switch release. I can tell you. So I know that they're working on Steam Deck compatibility. I don't know if they're announcing that, but I played it on the Steam Deck.
Okay.
With the touchscreen, and I don't know if like they're not going to advertise that, and that's okay. I can tell you what I tried the demo on.
Sure.
And it was fantastic. It was great. Like it played on the Steam Deck, even though it said it wasn't officially supported. I was able to play it, and I could see this really taking off. As just,
John, are you reading my notes, man? Like, can you see my screen right now? Because that's literally the next thing I was going to ask you about. So one thing that I was told, Derek had to take off to Germany to go hang out with Ian McCraner at a Jaguar fan convention over there, which
Jagfest or whatever.
I'm a little jealous about that because that sounds super fun. But one of the things that he told me before he hopped on a plane was like, hey, by the way, when you talk to John, ask him about the Steam Deck stuff. And he goes, the thing is, it's on Steam. They haven't got it Steam Deck certified yet, but they're actively working on it.
Yep.
They're trying to get that certification. And so far, it seems like they aren't really having any problems with it because it's not an overly demanding game.
No.
Like, it doesn't eat a lot of graphics resources. It doesn't eat a lot of processor. And so if the Steam Deck can run it fine without really needing to get it officially certified, then getting it certified shouldn't be a problem. If you have a Steam Deck out there in the world and you want to try this thing, should be real easy for you.
Try the demo, and just the font was a little bit small, but all that stuff is, you can fix all that. But like, I was one of the first people, I think, to like work with him, like, oh, let us know what you think. And I fired it up on my Steam Deck, which is so funny because, it played great. And using the touchscreen on the Steam Deck, they send you some bots when you first play the demo and make you feel good about yourself when you win. But yeah, I mean, it's like, it's awesome. The deck building aspect of the game is really exciting, and being able to customize and level up. There'll be packs that you can purchase separately. You can also unlock things by defeating enemies and playing the game. So there's a lot of different branching paths and options of how to play this. It is essentially, initially, I do believe it's going to be like an early access. It's in early access, but it's gonna open up some major, I think, options for people that want to play those card RPG tactic type games, RTS. The best way I can describe it for an old school gamer out there that's listening is if Rampart was like crossed with like a card game. And then,
Oh yeah. Okay.
yeah, so it definitely has like, to me, a Rampart feel to it, which is an old arcade game, but it's like in a card strategy mode. And then you got like the Crazy Tim commentary, and then you sprinkle in some Muppets. So, yeah.
anytime you end something with and then you sprinkle in some Muppets, I'm instantly sold.
Oh, sorry, they're called puppets. Sorry,
right. Muppets
we gotta
is
put
Muppets
like a
is
joke in it about this.
Yeah.
Like someone's saying Muppet, and it's, oh, we can't say that. I mean,
yeah,
puppets.
technically it's copyright the Disney Corporation, so they are puppets. But you know, a lot of folks might not know this about me because you know I've DJ in my name, so like what I do for a living is kind of on the tin, right? Like it's obvious I'm a DJ, but in 2020 for obvious reasons, the DJing stuff dried up for a while, and I couldn't play anywhere because there was nowhere to play during the pandemic, and so I ended up getting a job at a mobile video game studio that happened to have a satellite office in Portland, and I was incredibly lucky because that satellite office in Portland went full work from home, and so I was working from home for a couple of years there for a mobile game dev. So I got to see the sausage being made. I got to be a part of that process and really learn a lot about the back end of that whole thing and how that all works, man. And I got to tell you, first of all, the font size, if that's your biggest problem, you're doing great.
Played fine.
That is such a minor issue for any video game dev. Like font size is almost nothing compared to like the list of stuff that could go wrong, right?
Yeah, everything else was playing great. It was just like, it was hard to see some of the card sizes, but it wasn't even optimized. Like I think that's one of those things like, okay, let us know. Like when someone's asking you for feedback, that's good. And then I think they were pleasantly surprised by how well it did run. And
one of the games, and again, I'm purposely not name dropping the studio that I worked for because of a whole lot of reasons. I loved my time there and I still love them. There's nothing bad there. It's just, I don't want to take the focus away. One of the things I learned though, working for that game studio, is that, optimization is so incredibly crucial. We had a mobile game that I was working on, and all of the textures and all the graphics and textures for the different units in the game were in like 4K because our artists were cranking out the highest resolution they could so we could get the best looking end product on a phone screen. And somebody on our dev team went, why are we doing this in 4K so people can play on their phone screens? Mm-hmm. And we all kind of went, oh yeah, huh? And so when we took those assets and bumped them down to 1080 instead of 4K, all of a sudden it's like, oh, we just freed up 90% of the required storage for the game just by kicking the assets back down from 4K to a reasonable size. Little stuff like that can make such a wildly huge difference. And so once this game gets optimized, once they are able to tweak the font size a little bit for the Steam Deck folks and really get this thing like properly certified, which like who knows how long that's going to take, but I don't think it's going to be long because it's already playing pretty well on the Steam Deck. Like, dude, this thing is gonna hit the ground running, and I can't wait to see what Legends of Boom is able to do, like over the next 6 months, over the next year.
Absolutely, and me to be just a small part of it, more than happy. And what I kind of like too is, on my YouTube channel, I have 100% control of what I cover, what I do. Just like I 100% of say joining Malice Media. And I'm part of this because I like what I saw and decided to move forward with that. So that's the cool thing about this is that this is a cool strategy card game. I haven't played really anything a ton like it. It scratches all those itches of like real-time strategy, but it's got cards, but then you can customize your deck, but you can play opponents and level up that way. But then if you want, you can play opponents. So it's got a lot of different aspects of it that make it really unique. I do plan on doing a video and talking about that on my channel, and really excited about that, and just really look forward to seeing where this goes, and happy to be a part of it.
Well, if folks want to follow your story, check out that video on your channel. Where can they find you?
You can find me on, just type in John Hancock, SW11S, on X, the Immortal John Hancock, Facebook, Instagram. I know you'll have all my links for all that. John Hancock Retro is another thing. You can look me up on YouTube. I think I have that as my custom handle. But yeah, I've been doing YouTube a long time, and look forward to this mid-November, and right before the holidays. You can check out a fun real-time strategy card game. This is for adults. Just want to mention that. This is for adults 18 and above, and really excited to be part of it.
Well, now they're going to have a teen version available and accessible, and then folks who want to play the mature version, as I understand it, there's supposed to be a way to unlock the mature version. Or you can just like download the mature version directly. I'll try to find out more about like how to unlock that mature version. And just to let everybody know, I'm going to be doing other interviews with other folks associated with this game in a special series that I'm producing. Cool. This is probably going to come as a shock to nobody. But I, put this show on a shelf for a couple of months because of some things that happened in my professional life. And I wanted to kind of retool some things. What I love is that all of the relationships that I built with this show over the last year have all been completely kept intact. I'm still great with Vault 31 Bar. I'm still great with all of my guests. As a matter of fact, I know they're going to hate me for saying this, but I went to dinner with Tim Kitzrow and Daniel and Carlos Pacina from Mortal Kombat, who were also on my show earlier this year, along with a few other folks. And dude, when Tim and Carlos start because Carlos is pretty good with voices too, and they start doing this bit where they go back and forth with each other, and they start kind of cracking jokes at each other. It is one of the funniest things ever, because they're old friends. They're all from Chicago. They're all from the old Midway days, and of course they all hang out with each other at the gaming conventions around the country and stuff. So it's one of the most hilarious things ever to watch Tim and Carlos just going back and forth and just trading jokes and making everybody at the table laugh. It was really just the best. So make sure you keep an eye out. I've got a special series coming for Pick Up and Play. The show is back. Once we're kind of through this special series that's based around Legends of Boom, then I'm going to keep the show going, and I'm going to be back to my regular interview format. So, with some upgrades, some changes. And so y'all can look forward to that. John, thank you so much for coming on today.
Oh, it's a pleasure always. We go way back, friend. And it just was like having a conversation with my good buddy. And really love that. Really appreciate being on here. And thank you.
John, there was a reason why I asked you to be my very first guest on my show when I put this together and launched it earlier this year. You are welcome back here absolutely anytime, man.
Thank you so much. Well, I'd love to. Let's do it. Let's
talk again soon.
Lock me in. Lock me in.
You got it.
Folks, that's it for my interview with John Hancock. Always such a pleasure to have him on the show, and I cannot wait to see who else is going to be popping up as I continue to help support my friends over at First Moon Games and their new release of Legends of Boom coming out November 12th on Steam. Now, I have a few other interviews lined up. I have some other plans in the works between now and November 12th. And then, of course, after November 12th, when the game launches, we will continue to talk about how this game came together. We're going to continue to talk about how the game is doing and that sort of thing. So I'm excited to be a part of this process with my friends. And not only that, I'm bringing the show back permanently. Well, indefinitely. This show is, originally I was planning, like I said, to relaunch in 2025, but with Legends of Boom coming out mid-November, it seemed like as good a time as any to dust off the camera, get the show back up and running. So that's what we're doing here now. Folks, Pick Up and Play is back. I've owned it 100% since the start, and with a little bit of tweaking and retooling, I am bringing Pick Up and Play back, and we are going to continue to produce content. This is going to be a special series for Legends of Boom, so I'm going to produce as much as I can between now and the game's release. But once the game has released, don't worry. Pick Up and Play will continue on a regular schedule going forward. So you can consider this officially, I'm back. And I'm so excited to see who else is going to come by and hang out with me on this very show in the coming months. I hope that you'll stick around. Make sure that you subscribe to the channel. Of course, you can subscribe here on YouTube. You can also check out the show over on Spotify, which that's one other quick announcement that I have for you all. The show on Spotify will now be available in video format. So I am working slowly but surely on getting my entire back catalog updated on Spotify. I got to do them. I got to do the episodes in order. So it's going to take a minute, but once the back catalog is completely up to date on Spotify, everything will be available in both video and audio formats, and you can go and enjoy Pick Up and Play via Spotify as well as here on YouTube. I am so excited to be a part of this thing with Legends of Boom. I'm so excited to be back in the saddle doing the show again. And y'all, I have some great things planned for 2025 that I cannot wait to tell you all about when the time comes. In the meantime, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you on the next one very, very soon.